On the next all-new episode of Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba Entertainment District.
What do you think you're doing in my room?
That sound. That's a demon. I didn't even notice she was there until she started speaking. I've never heard one so ominously quiet before. Which means this is an upper-ranked demon.
Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba Entertainment District. Next Saturday at midnight. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
They took over the car.
On the next all-new episode of Licorice Recoil.
It must be Robotao. He's gotten good.
You got that right, Walnut.
But where's the router? There.
Licorice Recoil. Next Saturday at 1 a.m. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Toonami Therapy on January 17th, 2024. I'm Michael.
I'm Tommy.
And this is our podcast, Toonami Therapy, where we talk about anime and stuff we watch. Sometimes even Toonami shows. So, yes, Toonami is back now after its break. We had, the holiday break, and then there was, we had Attack on Titan, the final season, the final chapters, part 2, or whatever its name was. But we've got the actual shows back now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and, I guess we'll just jump straight into it.
Yep.
We've got Demon Slayer episodes 34 and 35. So this is the second part of the season, and this is, not material from the movie. This is actually, stuff made for the show. So let's see. Well, first, everyone is still really sad about Rengoku dying. Then we get some stuff with, Muzan. We see him, and he's talking to one of the, I can't remember, the guy who killed Rengoku, the third ranked Espada, I think he was. Anyway, we get that. Meanwhile, then we have our main characters, and they're still doing a bunch of training and stuff. Then eventually they end up going over to Actually, hang on. I said this was episode 34 and 35. Is that? I'm sorry. I'll just finish this. Anyway, then they end up going to the with the Sound Hashira guy to the Entertainment District. That's the name of the arc.
But they don't arrive at the Entertainment District in this episode.
No. So originally he wanted to take some of the girls, but they didn't want to. So Tanjiro and Kei and Zenitsu are like, okay, fine, we'll go with you. And then he's like, okay, well, we'll go to the place, the Entertainment District, and maybe next episode we'll actually get to the Entertainment District that the one title is of this season is about.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I think this hour-long episode just counted as one episode. Apparently they split them, so this was just episode 34.
Yep.
All right. So I guess to talk about it. Well, there's still, like I said, a bunch more. Everyone is very sad about Rengoku, who they knew for maybe a few hours at most died. It's such a bizarre thing for me, because they act like this is some character that they knew for a long time, and yet no, they got on the train, they met him, they talked a little, then they got interrupted by the fighting stuff and never really got to converse there. He did save them from the bad guy. That's worth something, and I can see why that would affect them, but it's just so much over a guy that they, again, didn't really interact with much at all. They met him the same day he died.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird that there's that reaction. Anyway, other than that, I guess there's just a bunch of, training stuff, and yeah, they spend some time talking to the family of the Rengoku guy and things. And yeah, that was basically the episode.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. I just wonder whenever they're going to get to that entertainment district, because that was what we built up for, and this entire hour never made it to the entertainment district.
Yeah, so we'll get that next episode, I guess. Don't really have too much else. It was just kind of straightforward, and I just mentioned they just spent so much time on Rengoku, and I'm just thinking, well, I've already said my piece. It's especially confusing the characters react that way, because at least I've mentioned before, at least we as the viewers got to see a little more of him. Like, still not enough that I think it really justifies how much it seems to consider him dying a big deal, but again, the other characters didn't have any of that. They didn't see his flashbacks. They didn't see his fight with the demon in like the thing that they added at the start of the season that wasn't in the movie. But he's dead, and maybe we can move on now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. After that, we've got Dr. Stone episode. Let me make sure I got this right. 54. So, we find out how Senku managed to survive the petrification attack. It turned out he did it by managing to calculate the speed it was going at, so that he threw the beaker full of the revival fluid up in the air just before he was turned to stone, and then afterwards it fell down, landed on him, broke, the liquid hit him, and he was unpetrified. There's a whole bunch of setup for that in terms of how it was calculated, and the others helped him, but at the end of the day, that's basically how he did it. So, he ends up kind of going up against Ibarra. It does turn out that he was able to get to revive Ryusui to try to get them, and they try to use the old drone thing. To make a long story short, the heroes manage to win. Ibarra gets turned to stone, although Ryusui also gets turned to stone, but he'll be better, I'm sure. And yeah, and then they manage to win, and that's the end.
End of the season?
Well, it's the end of this sort of battle. We've still got 3 episodes left of the season, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I enjoyed this episode a lot more than some of the recent ones, so I thought it was pretty good. I mean, yeah, he was really lucky to survive the petrification beam, but you have to be a little lucky in something like this. So yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Didn't get beaten over the head with science like we usually do. And yeah, so yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, definitely a good, well, it's not the conclusion to the arc, but because obviously there's going to be more episodes, I am kind of thinking, wow, 3 episodes? What are they going to spend those on? It seems like things are mostly wrapped up, but we'll see. I guess maybe they might include some of the next arc. We'll see. But yes, this was a pretty good conclusion to the conflict, I guess, which does seem to be over. Yeah, we'll see. When we did our ranking things for the year a few weeks ago, I based it on what we saw there, but if this keeps it up, I think at the end of Dr. Stone, I'm going to say, I'd like to retroactively raise it up a little. Okay. So yeah, we got Dr. Stone, good episode, and then we have the, we have One Piece, episode 649. So, Don Chinjiao, I think his name was, how he's been talking about how he's super angry at Luffy. Well, we finally get the full story there. He used to have this sort of like drill thing. He could basically use his head as a drill, but and he had a lot of money that he kept under this sort of ice, but the only way to get into it was with that drill head of his. So that's how it was safe. But then he ended up getting into a fight with Garp, who beat him up and ended up like making him lose that sort of drill head thing of his. So he got a lot weaker and was unable to get any of his money back, which made him super angry at Garp and therefore very angry at Luffy for being his grandson. Luffy ends up winning, and it looks like Luffy's beating might have reverted his head to before. It doesn't explicitly say it, but it looked like that. And so Luffy wins. And yes, that's our episode. By the standards of One Piece, it actually felt like a decent amount was accomplished in this episode.
Lucy.
Oh yeah, he's still Lucy. Yeah, it does say Lucy in the title.
Yep. So yeah, we got that whole thing. So I guess we got some stuff about Luffy, but we didn't really get much about any of the other characters. So, it wasn't bad. It just too much time on the flashback, I think. And, yeah.
Well,
but yeah, I guess it was necessary, so I can't really complain too much.
well, the problem isn't like the flashback; it's the fact they spent a bunch of time on it. It wasn't that long in the manga, but the anime, of course, pads everything out. This was actually, at least by the manga standards, not a particularly long flashback. Sometimes they like spend multiple chapters on some character's backstory. Here, it was relatively quick, even with the anime, doing its usual padding. Okay. So, but, yes, I don't know. It just felt like in this episode, maybe it's just the fact we finally finished this fight, because this has been going on for how long now? Hang on, let me actually look back. How long has Luffy been involved? Not necessarily specifically with this guy, but in this arena battle. Let me look up. Let's see. So this was episode 649, I said. Yeah, so let me gaze back at this quick. Let's see. Let's see. They were fighting in 644. How far back are we going? Let's see. Yeah, they were fighting 639. I think. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe some of these might have been in different groups, so I'm not sure. I just know Luffy has been fighting this one thing for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that it's done, and I guess so we can move on to presumably more of this. Luffy will fight more guys, and it'll take this long again.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for One Piece. We then can move on to the non-Toonami things we've watched. All right, so here we've got Shangri-La Frontier, Episode 8. So Sunraku has to survive 5 minutes against the enemy. Wow, I should have, in retrospect, actually timed how long it actually was in the anime time. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he manages to do it. And then, as his reward, he gets the collar removed that was put on him, and he's kind of annoyed that he didn't get anything better out of all that. But it does unlock another quest, apparently. Anyway, so he ends up, because he just doesn't want to get recognized as he ends up putting on basically this big sort of cloak over himself that covers him up, and yeah, that's basically our episode.
Yeah, I think it was okay. I don't really have any problems with it. I just wish there was something bigger, like I've said in the past. But yeah, it's okay. I like him to meet some more characters and have some more interaction with other people. That would be nice.
I liked the episode. Well, no, hang on. I thought the battle he was in was for the most part kind of boring. It's the problem in which it's like, okay, it's just seeing him basically play a game, except it's not a game that's like real. So you know, like, you know, there's a bunch of people who will watch someone play games online. You know, Twitch is just filled with that. That's practically what their business model is made on. That's what most people. Let me actually just randomly glance at okay, the rubber tip, I will say. Well, whoops. Sorry, you didn't hear that, but the audience might have heard it talking when it did that. But yeah, you glance over there and you're seeing, yep, there's a bunch of people playing games, and there's also someone who's like unboxing something, it looks like. So clearly that can be interesting. The problem is, since it's not a real game, and it's not one that I can think, oh, that's really cool, I want to play that game, it's kind of boring. But once we got done with that, I thought it was more interesting. We had some decent jokes. My conclusion with this series so far is that when it's being funny, it's usually pretty good. But when it's like trying to do more game stuff and it's not going for the jokes, it usually is not as interesting.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Like last episode I really liked, and that was mostly jokes. This episode focused less on the jokes, and I didn't like it as much. Like, but the parts that were the jokes, I liked the part where he says, "I feel like a walking meme." That was good. That was funny. Okay, moving on. Teen romantic comedy, SNAFU, episode 17. Okay, this time I actually do remember what happened. So one of the other characters basically gets gets Hachiman to go and with him to hang out with, I think they were the girls that he knew in like middle school or something. They kind of spend the time not kind of making fun of him, except the whole point of it was that what was his name? The other guy, the guy who brought them all together for Hachiman. I can't remember his name. He was like the one that he helped in the previous in the thing where he wanted to confess to the girl. I can never remember. Do you know? Well, anyway, he basically then has he uses the opportunity to try to like defend Hachiman because the whole. And brings in, the other two female characters just to say, yeah, he's friends with them, so you guys shouldn't be making fun of him. I guess it works in the end. Then once we get done with that stuff, we ultimately find out, okay, Yukino is going to the plan to try to make it so that one person doesn't win the student council president. It's that Yukino will run and maybe win, except then Yui is like, okay, I'm going to also run because Yukino can't focus on more than one thing at a time. So the idea, I guess, to beat her so that they can all stay in the service club. And that is our episode.
Yeah, so I thought that was a pretty interesting idea for her to join it. But then Yui's like, okay, I'm going to join the thing too. It's like... You've got 3 people running for president of student council, and none of them actually want to do it. So that's kind of bizarre. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good episode, and a lot less depressing than last episode. I of course, that does have a lot to do with the fact that Yui was in this one. See, I really like Yui. I don't know why other people don't like them. So
when you say you don't know, do you mean like you know the reasons they give, but you don't really agree with them? Or do you mean that you actually don't know the specific reasons people don't like her yet?
no, I don't know.
Okay. I don't know either why people dislike her. I mean, I'm not huge on her, but I don't really dislike her either. But maybe it's one of those things where stuff happens later in the series that like turns people against a character.
Yeah, and that's what it has to be. But I really like the way she is positive and adds a little bit of energy and pep to the show, because the two main characters are really depressing people who are always in a bad mood. So it's nice to have positive characters like Yui, like Hachi's sister. She's another positive person. So it's nice having those people around. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good episode, although I'm not exactly sure how this is going to turn out. So this could end up being really entertaining, and it could also not. We'll see.
I didn't really. I thought the second part I liked, but the first part with like, you know, where they're all going hanging out, and then there's the other girls from middle school and stuff, and I was like, well, I thought that was kind of boring and was kind of confused about what was going on with it. But then once we got past that and started focusing again on the characters I actually know and care about, it worked better. Okay, let's see. Yeah, did I have anything else to say? Yet? No. Okay. Yeah, that was that series, and then we. Oh, dang! I realized I did all these things in the wrong order. We were supposed to talk about Spy Family before Shangri-La, Frontier. I missed the fact I had a note on that, but oh well, it's the last episode. We can put it in the back. All right, so we have Spy Family, episode 37, end of the season. Basically, Lloyd decides to try to take Bond for a walk to try to do some training with him. He ends Bond is able to see the future, so he's trying to help some people, but his attempts either get misunderstood or end up not actually making a difference, so people and Lloyd get annoyed at him. Ultimately, though, he's able to bring Lloyd in to try to this, because there's this dog trapped in this burning building, and he's able to go in there and get Lloyd to help rescue it, and that's great. And then they end up catching the arsonist who is doing all of that, and thus it's a happy ending for everyone, well, except the arsonist guy, I guess. And Lloyd's happy about Bond helping out with everything, and thus that's the end of the episode. And there is some stuff with Anya making origami stars.
Yeah, so I thought it was a very good episode, but I was shocked that was like the last episode of this season. Like I was like, wow, we really went through that whole season and we really had only one real arc. And most of it was just like, okay, let's focus on this character. Let's focus on that character. And it did that for almost the whole season. Now, we did get that great boat arc. But aside from that, it really feels like this second season didn't advance the plot all that much to where it was before it. I'm a little confused by that. It was a filler. I mean, I don't know what it was. It just was it felt to me like it didn't really move us along to what Twilight's ultimate goal is, you know?
Well, let me think. Trying to remember whether, when Anya got to Stella Star, no, that was last season, not this, season, I don't think. Yeah, I was just double checking a few, things in regards to, where the was. Yeah, it is kind of a weird place to end it. I honestly would have made, the best place to end this. Unfortunately, I guess they couldn't do it because they didn't have the episodes, but like practically very soon after this, we get a flashback where we see some of Lloyd's backstory. Like we see him when he was younger, and more specifically how he became a spy and stuff. And well, while the jokes kind of mostly stopped during that, I thought it was pretty well told, and that would have been a decent way to end the season. But I guess they just didn't have room for it. We'll probably see it at the start of the next, or maybe a little later. It could theoretically be put anywhere, I guess. So I guess that'll be in season 3 whenever that comes. No idea when it will be, but it's a popular series. It's going to get another season. Yeah, I don't have too much to really say about the episode itself. It was just a decent episode. But yeah, you're right. I didn't really stop to think about it, but not that much really was progressed in this season on the whole. Spy Family is kind of a bit of an episodic series, I guess, but it really doesn't feel like we did have much movement of things. We had some stuff with Yor in the ship, but that again, while enjoyable, wasn't really like forwarding things. I guess Spy Family doesn't have like a super important plot, but does kind of feel like we could have had more things like happen in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me just check very quickly what in regards to some stuff. Yeah, this episode was kind of mostly just like a bunch of self-contained things, which the series often is, but yeah, kind of surprising to look back at that and realize that. All right, and that's it for Spy Family. That's it. We'll obviously come back to it when it inevitably gets its 3rd season. When will that be? I don't know, but it's presumably not going to be for at least a year, because, when they announce a new season's coming up, it's usually a bit of a wait for it. Well, yeah, sometimes it can be less, but we'll see. Okay. Any, thing else to say? All right. We can then move into, so we got the 3rd episode of the live-action One Piece. Uh-huh. So, in this episode, they end up going to another village because they, want a new ship. They end up meeting Usopp, who suggests that he might be able to help get his friend Kaya, who actually owns, or at least is going to own, I can't remember if she actually had it or if she was going to get it, like all of the ships. But her butler doesn't like Luffy and the others and kind of tries to get rid of them. But then it turns out, oh no, he's actually an evil bad guy himself who's just putting up with it who's pretending to be her nice butler because he wants to kill her and inherit all the things himself. Good guys, Usopp does try to find out about this, but then when he tries to tell people, no one listens to him because he's told all these made up stuff to them before. And he randomly runs into Kobe, who I guess is there. He wasn't here at this point in the manga, so that's interesting. Who mentions, yeah, I believe you. So I guess he'll have a bigger point to play, but that'll be in the next episode.
Yeah.
I-
It was not as interesting as the first two episodes, but that being said, it was still good, and it was every episode of this show so far has been good. So there were some slow parts, like that whole dinner thing that went on too long. I feel like it needed to go a little faster, but overall, I thought it was a pretty good episode.
Yeah. One thing I think I might have. This isn't really about the show itself, but it just seems to me, because I've commented on this before. It seems like over time the S word has just become less offensive, because characters say it multiple times in this episode. They said it. A character says it multiple times in Spy Family. That used to be something that even South Park had to bleep out. And now it's just, you can say it on TV 14 shows now, I guess. So that just, I don't know, that's an interesting shift I've seen. I think originally it wasn't even like a particularly offensive term in English. It just it was just like a word for, fecal matter. So I don't know, just a random thing I've noticed. As to the episode itself, I agree. I think this was the weakest of the three episodes. It just didn't seem to be moving as well. I can't really remember too much about this original arc, other than I don't think I was as huge on it as the things that came before. I did find it interesting because the joke everyone says, "Oh yeah, no one dies in One Piece," but the live action is definitely up the death count. Like the guy, his name was Mary, the guy who had the kind of like the sheep like hair. He's just straight up killed here. But in the original manga, he's just wounded and survives. I know they also totally kept that sort of character quirk Kuro had, the butler guy, of always adjusting his glasses with his wrist. Not too much else to say about it. I will say that all the stuff with Kobe that they've added, I'm not finding too particularly interesting. It does look like they might be using it more to intersect with the main plot than was in the original, and if so, that could make it pay off. But at least for right now, when it cuts to him, I'm just like, okay, can we get back to the other characters?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's basically it. My last question is, I am kind of confused about why when the bad guys knock out Zoro, their whole plan is, okay, we're going to dump him into this well so it doesn't leave traces. Now, obviously, he's going to survive, which just makes me think, okay, why don't you, I don't know, like, stab him in the chest or something before doing it to make sure he's dead? Because he's obviously, like, going to get out of there in the next episode. It just felt kind of like the bad guys being dumb for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that is that's this episode. So again, not the weakest one so far, but still good. I'm sorry that I'm always bringing up how things were different, but this was something that I noticed was different. I'm pretty sure the part where Nami was planning to steal some stuff from the mansion, but then, changes her mind after talking with Kaya. I don't think that was in the original manga, because in that, if I recall correctly, she very explicitly states that she only makes a point of stealing from pirates. So that was kind of a shift in her personality. I mean, sure, she changed her mind and leaves it back, but it seemed that kind of seemed like a shift there. So it seemed a little weird that they changed that, but yeah, just minor points there. Okay, I'm not going to go through all the changes. Sorry, I keep doing that. Yeah,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it because I don't even know. So,
okay.
Yeah, but I like to hear what's different. Mm-hmm. It's like, why is that one Marine so important whenever you said that person wasn't all that important in the anime?
Well, it's a little complicated. So basically, in the manga, Kobe, after the initial thing where he stays behind to join the Navy, that's basically what we always see of him in the main plot for quite a while. He shows up eventually later, and he does actually have some important stuff later on, but it's a very long time till we see him in the main plot. Now, the One Piece manga does do this thing. It doesn't really do it anymore, but it used to do it more commonly, where in chapters, at the first page of each One Piece chapter, basically past a certain point, it's always like just some random drawing. Nowadays, it's mostly like just like requests from fans, like, hey, draw a picture of this, and it'll be that. But one thing it did was, I don't know exactly what they were called, but what would happen is, so like one chapter, it would be like saying, it would show something that was happening with this one character. Then the next chapter, it would show a continuation of that on the first page. And the next chapter would show a continuation of that. And thus, at the start of each chapter would basically be the story unrelated to what was happening in the main plot, but just talking about what happened with some characters that we had seen before. And in that, we did see some stuff with Kobe. But other than that, he kind of disappeared after that. So, he's getting a lot more focus in this. I think the stuff we saw in the manga was mostly him, just going through some training, working under Garp and some other things. But the anime is definitely increased. I can't remember if the anime adapted that into an episode or not. But he's definitely getting much more attention in the live action than he did in the manga at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. We'll see where we go next time. We're now 3/8 of the way through.
Mm-hmm.
But still manages to be good. All right. I'm doing that thing again, as I often do, where I just keep talking even though I should have stopped a while ago. So, this, I guess we can give our ranking stuff of the things we watched.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about mine here. Yeah, I think I will give SNAFU third place. I will give Dr. Stone second place. And first place will again be Spy Family.
Okay. Well, for me, Dr. Stone will win first place. Second place would be Spy Family. And third place, maybe I'm feeling a little leaning towards it just because it felt like things happened. But okay, I'll give it to One Piece. Things happen. We got some solution. It's still padded, but I feel like I need to give One Piece at least some props for being, better than normal in that, even if it at least felt like we were getting things done. And I know that's not the highest of praise, but unfortunately, I'll take what I can get in the anime with all of its padding.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One Piece definitely was in the running this week. So was Demon Slayer, but they didn't make the cut. So
yeah,
they'll have a chance next week to finally get on the board.
Okay, so that's it for those episodes this week. Next week, we will, we're done with Spy Family, so we're going to, after putting on pause for a few months, we're going to go back to Full Metal Panic. We'll be checking out Full Metal Panic Fumofu, which, as I understand, is way more comedy-based than the original series. So, we'll give it a shot, then.
Yeah.
You've already seen it, I haven't. I think I saw the first episode like a very long time ago. But I only watched that. I didn't watch the previous thing, so I didn't have any context. But
where did you view it? Like, where did you see it?
I think I watched it on Funimation's website. I think it was freely available. I didn't have a subscription at that. This was a very long time. I'm talking something like 20 years probably. It would have been, I think it was like maybe, let me just check. It would have been, it was, I think reasonably, I think it was a year or two after it came out. So yeah, that would have been, we're talking nearly 20 years ago.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess I'll watch it and see if I can actually remember anything from. Well, I mean, I'll obviously watch it, but I'll see what I can actually remember from the first time I watched it and what all the things I forgot. So that's what we'll be continuing with next week. Other than that, our planned schedule will remain the same. We've already watched Licorice Recoil, so we'll see if we have anything to say about it when we rewatch it on Toonami. And that'll be it for this episode. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Well, it's been 24 hours since he was pronounced dead. Seriously think this dude came back to life?
Maybe he's not even human anymore.
Can you remember who broke into your home and attacked your family?
They killed my family. Now I'm going to hunt down every last one of them and make them pay.
You plan on murdering them all?
You are about to be dropped into the pits of hell, where you'll hear the sound of skin being peeled off, bones being shattered, and spines ripped out whole.
What the hell is going on here?
Don't get involved in this investigation any further.
Definitely something shady going on with this case.
Howza, they have the FBI in their pocket, and now they're wanting me to back off.
My guess is that ninjas are the ones behind it all.
If this is all true, then we got a real nightmare in our hands.
We cannot afford our existence ever coming to light.
I'm going to kill Yamaji and make sure everyone else gets what they deserve.
Find them at all costs
Yamaji!
and tear their hearts out.
From acclaimed director Sung-Hoo Park comes a new original anime.
Even in oblivion, you'll tremble in fear of the Oni that lie beyond.
Ninja Kamui. New series premieres February 10th at midnight on Adult Swim. Next day on Max.